Great. Good morning to each of you. Namaste. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a few moments to become present. So find a nice, comfortable seated position, either on a cushion or blanket, block, anything that will elongate your back and open your chest and open your heart, open your diaphragm. Close your eyes and soften your thoughts. Soften your eyes. Soften your shoulders. Soften your heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes now. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or a phrase to have with you on your mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning, the intention that I'd like to talk about is the third Niyama. Again, the Niyamas are the second limb of the 8 limbs of yoga, and they are guidelines on how to interact with yourself. So the third one is called Tapas, T-A-P-A-S, which is not to be confused with the Spanish small plates that you get served in quantity, but it kind of might be related in that the Sanskrit tapas is all about self-discipline. So if you go to a tapas bar with all these small Spanish food plates in front of you, you might have to exercise self-discipline. But tap is from the Sanskrit to heat or to burn. And we practice tapas by using self-control and discipline. We use it to maintain that controlled fire within, helping us to push through to positive change and to transformation. So think about how the warm temperatures in the past couple of days has transformed the landscape. The hot sun and continued warmth has reawakened the earth. You might have some little crocuses popping up or snowdrops certainly. The grass is starting to turn green. Buds are starting to get thicker on the branches. Continued warmth and heat, that tapas, will encourage plants to grow and produce flowers and fruit. And those are all positive changes, positive transformation for our landscape. So without the heat, in the wintertime, we don't have that transformation. It just kind of goes dormant. And that heat brings that change, that transition. So today we're going to not do a lot of heat building exercises, but what we're going to do is do a lot of things that are self-control, kind of slow and control, that slow burn, that you control that fire within. So to start off with, the pranayama, our breathing technique, is called Bhastrika, and it's also known as the Bellows Breath. And it is similar to one we've done recently, the Kalabhati breath, where there was an active exhale and a passive inhale. But this one actually has both active inhales and exhales. And it's more intense. It's kind of like fanning the flames of the fire. And to do it, it's if you have a dog, or if you are familiar with how dogs chant, it's very similar to that. So inhale, exhale are both very active, equal length, but you do it with your mouth shut. So we can practice by doing it with our mouth open, and then we can progress to shutting the mouth, closing the mouth, and breathing through our nose and come up with that bellows breath. And it's good for energizing the body and the mind and improving awareness. So let's begin. Start with our mouths open and pant like a dog. And then stop. If you get lightheaded, don't do it quite as often, but you can do like 5 rounds and then stop. So let's just try it again with mouth open. Should have Oscar out here demonstrating this. Now let's try it with our mouth closed and our breathing quickly through our nose. Get a little lightheaded. Breathe normally, and then come back. And then we'll try it one more time. And again, that's for energizing the body and the mind and improving awareness. So on to our meditation. Today we'll have a meditation mudra with, it's called Shuni, and it's for patience, focus, and discipline. So what you would do is, again, your meridians are at the end points of your fingers. So you're going to redirect the energy in certain ways by placing your hands in your fingertips in certain ways. So for the Shuni Mudra, you bring your middle finger and your thumb together, and you extend the other 3 straight up. So again, that's for patience. It's primarily for patience, but it does have that discipline effect as well. So let's just take a few moments to have a quiet time. You can focus on your breath, meditate, and I'll meet you on the mat. You may open your eyes now. We'll start our asana practice. So again, if you're on a seat cushion or a blanket, you can remain there. Try to have your knees just slightly parallel or even with the creases in your hip or just slightly lower. Will help to elongate your spine. Find that natural curve in your back. So bring your fingertips to the sides of you on your mat. And then we'll start with our sun breath. So inhale, lifting your hands up overhead, bringing your arms close to your ears, touching the palms if you can. If that is uncomfortable, you can just bring them to a V shape, whatever's most comfortable for you. And then exhale, bringing them back down. Inhale up. Nice deep inhale up, and then deep exhale down. Deep inhale up. Deep exhale down. Deep inhale up. And exhale down. One last time, inhale up. And exhale down. We're going to take one, and you can remain seated on your cushion. Take one leg and extend it out on a diagonal to the side. So if you want to take your right leg out first, actually, back up. I have one exercise to do before that. That'll get us prepped a little bit better for that one. So this is going to be a forward fold, and we're going to inhale deeply and then exhale as we walk our hands forward. So it's a seated forward fold. Walk your hands as you exhale out as far as possible. That's comfortable, finding that sweet spot between effort and relaxation. And then inhale, walking your hands back up. And we'll do that one more time. Take a deep inhale. Lift your spine and your chest up, and then exhale, walking your hands out in front of you. And then inhale, walking your hands back up again. Now extend your right leg out at a diagonal. And with your spine nice and straight and long, you lift our left arm up overhead. Bring our right hand to the back of our hand is on our knee, and then slide our hand down toward our foot. You may not get very far, and that's perfectly fine. Just find that sweet spot. And then inhale, come back up. Bring your left hand down, and then we're going to twist our torso so that we're facing our right knee. And we're going to sweep both hands up overhead. And then exhale, bringing your hands down toward your toes. And if you only land close to where your knee is, you can just try walking your hands down toward your toes. With each inhale, you progress a little further, and each exhale, you lower closer to your knee. So inhale, stretch, exhale, lower. Then inhale, walk your hands back up. Then lift your knee, planting your right foot on the mat in front of your hip. So your knees facing up to the sky, your toes are pointing out to the front of the mat. And then wrap your left arm around your right knee and bring your left hand and place it right behind your hip so your spine stays nice and long. And then turn to face the right side of your mat. And if you want a little bit more stretch, you can gently turn your head to the right to look over your right shoulder. And then come back to center. Switch legs. Bring your left leg out in front of your right leg or vice versa. We're going to do our seated forward fold. So walk your hands up, inhale first. And then exhale, walk your hands out in front of you. And just come to that spot that is between effort and relaxation. And then walk your hands back up. Nice long back, open chest. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Deep inhale again. And walk your hands out. And just send any deep inhales and exhales to any slight tension you may feel. See if it loosens it up a little bit. And then inhale, walking your hands back up. We'll extend our left leg out at a diagonal. And then bring our right arm up close to our ear. The back of our left hand will be resting against our left knee. And then we're going to slide that left hand down toward the foot. Remember to inhale and exhale here. And then inhale, come back up. Twist your torso so that you are facing your knee. And then we lift our arms up overhead and bend forward toward our hands reaching toward our foot, or bringing your hands down to the floor, to the mat, and walking your hands toward your foot. Inhale is to lengthen, exhale is to lower. And then inhale, walk your hands back up. And bring your left foot planted on the mat in front of your left hip. Knees pointing up to the sky. Wrap your right arm around your left knee. Bringing your left fingertips to the mat right behind your hips. Turning to face the left side of your mat. And then if you want a little bit more of a stretch, just gently turn your head, look over your left shoulder. And then come back to center. You may remove your blanket or pillow, and we're going to roll down on our backs. So you can either roll down one vertebrae at a time, slow-mo, which would be controlled. Actually, let's do that today because we're working on our core and we're working with slow controlled movements, mostly about our core, which is the fire in the belly that we want to keep warm, keep it flamed. So bring your self back down to the mat, one vertebrae at a time, really focusing on that slow controlled movement and feeling it within your core. So bring your knees to your chest, give them a nice hug, maybe rock back and forth just to give lower back a little bit of massage. And then bring your legs out, extending your knees away from you, but having a right angles as if you're sitting in a chair. So your hips are nicely grounded in the mat, knees are right above your hips, and your feet go out at a 90-degree angle. And place both hands on your hip bones. So just where your core is, just to feel that core and feel its active action during this exercise. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to drop our right foot down to the mat and bring it back up. Drop our left foot down to the mat and bring it back up. Drop both feet down to the mat and feel that in your core under your hands and bring both feet back up. And then we'll lift our right leg up to the sky and bring that back to the right angle. Lift the left leg up to the sky and bring that back. And then lift both legs up to the sky and bring them both back to that chair position. Again, right foot, tap it down to the mat. Left foot, tap it down to the mat. Bring both feet down to the mat. Raise the right foot up to the sky and down. Left foot up to the sky and down. And both legs up to the sky and down. One last time, touch your right foot to the mat, bring it back. Again, feel that under your fingertips, that action in your core. Left foot down to the mat and back. Both feet down to the mat and back. Right leg up to the sky. Left leg up to the sky. And both legs up to the sky. And bring them both back. And plant both feet down on the mat. Keep your hands where they are. And have your feet out just a skosh wider than your hips. And we're going to do some windshield wipers. So slowly lower your knees to the right. And inhale, bring them back up to center. And then exhale, lower them to the left. Inhale, back to center. And lower them to the right. Inhale, back to center. Lower them to the left. Inhale back to center, lower them to the right. Inhale back to center, lower them to the left. Inhale back to center, lower them to the right. And one last time, inhale back to center, lower them to the left. And then back to center. And we'll tuck our knees to our chest, give them a nice hug again. And we'll roll up from here. So if you place your hands behind the crease in your knees and start to gently roll, gaining momentum, getting that fire. You could feel that in your core as well. And then keep rolling until you can come up to a seated position. And we're going to come into tabletop. So tabletop, your wrists are right below your shoulders, knees right below your hips. Fingers are spread out. Your weight is evenly distributed in both hands, and you're pushing gently down so you can create the space between your shoulder and your ears. Navel's tucked to the spine. So navel tucking to the spine is how I usually cue, but a lot of times you'll hear people say engage your core, and it's the same thing, that engage your core, tucking your navel to the spine. You're actively working with your core in your muscles there. So let's do a few cat-cows here. So inhale, and then exhale, rounding your back, dropping your head down, tailbone down. Inhale, lifting your head and tailbone up. Nice stretch for cow, and then exhale, rounding your back, dropping your head and tailbone down for cat. Inhale, lift your head and tailbone up for cow. Exhale, rounding your back, dropping your head and tailbone down. Inhale, lift your head and tailbone up, and you can continue at your own pace, synchronizing your deep inhale and exhale to each movement. You can go as fast or slow as you want, but slow might be a good idea today to have that controlled effort. I think if I ever did just one yoga pose a day, this one would be it. I just love this nice feeling of stretch. And then come back to the middle, to tabletop. We're going to bring both knees together underneath our hips so that our knees are touching. Then extend your left leg out to the bottom of the mat. Toes can be resting on the mat. Then just focus on the front hands and make sure that your weight is evenly distributed and you're pushing down and have that space between your shoulder and your ears. And then lift that left leg up and bring it over the right leg so that it's extended outside of the mat. And then we're going to just gently turn our head and look at our toes, our left toes. So you're turning your head to the right to look at your left toes. Bring your foot back to center, bring it back underneath you. Extend the right leg out, toes are on the mat. Reassess how your arms are, your weight in your front hands, and then lift that right leg and lift it over your left leg, resting it outside the mat. And then turn your head to the left to look at your right toes. And then bring that leg back to meet the other leg. And we'll do that one more time, both legs. So extend your left leg out, pushing down in your hands, creating that space. Reach your left leg over your right leg, extending it outside of the mat. And then gently turn your head to the right to look at your left toes. And then bring that back to center. And with your right leg, extend that out. Reach it up and over your left leg to the outside of the mat. And then slowly turn to the left to look at your right toes. And then bring that back to meet your other leg. And we'll tuck our toes under, walk our hands back, come into a squat. So we're resting on our fingertips. And then push down into your feet to rise up to mountain pose. We'll go through our mountain essentials, good posture. Toes are facing the long side of your, or straight edge of your mat. We'll lift our toes up off the mat, spread them as far apart as you can, and then bring them back down to the mat, lifting our heels off the mat. And bring those back down. Your legs are nice and straight and strong, soft, gentle bend in your knees. Navel's tucked to the spine, engaging your core. Your back is nice and straight and long. Back of your neck is nice and long. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back to help with that length of your spine. Chin is slightly tucked in, not down, but tucked back. And the top of your head is reaching up to the sky. We're going to sweep our hands up overhead with a big inhale. And then exhale, forward fold, bending at the hip, bending our knees deeply, bringing our hands to the mat. So we're resting our ribs on our legs gently. And just take a moment to check in with your body here to see how it's feeling. Send deep breaths to any feeling that might be a little tense. And inhale, sweeping your hands up to your shins, straightening out your back, opening your chest, rolling back your shoulders. Half forward fold. And then let's slide our hands all the way up to the tops of our thighs. Bring our elbows toward one another, shoulder blades toward one another, and really opening up our chest. This probably doesn't have a yoga pose name, but it could be called the chicken pose. And then exhale, bringing our hands back down to the mat, lowering your head toward the mat for forward fold. Knees can be bent here to whatever depth is comfortable and supportive of your lower back. Then inhale, sweep our hands all the way up from the mat, all the way up to above you, and then we're going to come up onto our tippy toes and just sway here for palm tree. Just get our balance. And then exhale, bring your heels back down to the mat, bring your hands back down to the floor for forward fold. Again, bending your knees to what's comfortable for you. Inhale, halfway up, half forward fold. Nice flat back. Let's slide our hands all the way up to the tops of the thighs again, bringing our elbows, trying to reach them so that they touch, which they won't, but just kind of opening that chest. And then slide our hands all the way down to the mat and bring our head down toward the floor for forward fold. Inhale, sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. And keep them up overhead. Bring your right arm down to your right thigh and slide it down toward your knee for a supported side stretch. Inhale, bring that right arm back up. And lower the left arm down to your left thigh, slide it down toward your knee for side stretch. Inhale, come back up. One more time on each side. Right hand comes to right thigh, slide it down toward your knee. And then back up again. Nice and slow and controlled. Left arm goes down, slide it toward your knee. And then come back up again. Both arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Bringing both hands down to the floor. And place your hands on the floor, on the mat, and bend your knees deeply. We'll go back into the squat, just as we did before we came into Mountain Essentials. So you're up on the balls of your feet in a squat, and then lower your heels to the mat as you raise your hips up. Come into a forward fold. And then exhale back down into a squat. You're up on the balls of your feet. Exhale or inhale, bring the heels down to the mat. Head down toward the mat, toward the floor for forward fold. And one last time, come down into a squat position. And then lower our heels to the mat and come into a forward fold. And then sweep our hands up all the way up overhead. Bring our palms together, bring our hands to our heart center. Deep inhale, deep exhale. And then we'll place our fingertips on the back of our hips. Feet are hip width apart. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Chin is tucked toward your chest. And that can be tucked down. And then we'll just let our shoulders drop back for supported back bend. Bringing your eyes up to the sky, but do not extend your head any further than just looking up at the sky. Don't drop it back. And remember to breathe. And inhale, come back up. And sweep our hands up overhead. Deep inhale, exhale, bring our hands down to the mat. Place both hands on the mat and extend both feet to the back of the mat for plank. Arms or wrists are right under the shoulders. Legs are nice and strong and active, pushing the heels to the back of the mat. You can tuck your navel to your spine. This is important in this pose. Raising your hips slightly, so it's really a great pose to for your core, to find that fire in your belly. And I'm going to drop our left leg down to the mat right underneath us. And we're going to pivot so that we're facing to the side of the mat. And we're going to have our modified side plank. So our right foot's pointing to the bottom of the mat, knees bent and supporting us underneath. And you can put a blanket there if that's more comfortable. We're going to sweep our hand up overhead as we lift our right leg up. And then bring both hand and leg back down. Sweep our hand up, right leg goes up as well. And then bring that back down. One last time, sweep your hand up, leg goes up. And then bring that back down. Then we'll come back to tabletop. And then we'll do that on the other side. So we're going to flip our right leg outside the mat, extend our left toes down to the bottom of the mat. Our right arm, the wrist is right below the shoulder. And we'll sweep our left arm up, lifting our left leg up, and then come back down. Sweep our left arm up, left leg goes up, and then back down. And sweep our left hand up, and back down again. Come back to tabletop, extend your feet to the bottom of the mat, come back to plank. We're going to lower to the mat, so either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Then bring chaturanga, keep your elbows tucked to your side, and slowly, with control, lower to the mat, and slide your arms out in front of you, so your fingertips are out in front of you, and come into Sphinx pose. Elbows are right below your shoulder. Tops of your feet pushing down. Hips are engaged into the mat. Feel your pelvis on the mat. Create a nice, gentle back bend. You can slide your elbows out toward the front of the mat if that's a little bit too much of a back bend. Find what's comfortable for you. I do have some dad jokes today. So, first one, what did the tree say to spring? What a relief. Get it? Relief? Relieving? Everybody? Okay. Number two. What did the dirt say to the rain? If this keeps up, my name will be Mud. Little springy humor. Transformational humor. So let's bring our hands underneath our shoulders, our fingertips underneath our shoulders. Come into Cobra, so keeping your elbows tucked to your side. Gently push down, keeping your hips on the mat. And we're going to lift up and then lower our hips to our ankles, coming into child's pose. And then come back to tabletop, top guard toes under, and raise your hips rather, up to the ceiling for downward dog. And we'll just pedal out here for a few moments. And your fingertips are spread wide apart. Weight should be on your fingertips, not on your wrists. Chest reaching toward your thighs. Hips up as high as is comfortable for you. Knees bent, pedaling. Or if they're stationary, just have a gentle bend in your knees. And we'll do 5 deep breaths here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then walk our feet up to our hands and gently roll, slowly in control, all the way up to mountain pose, bringing our arms up overhead, palms together, and bring your palms to your heart center. And then we're going to open up to the wide side of our mat. So turning to face the long side of your mat. Point your toes to the top edges of your mat, turning your heels in, about 45-degree angle. And a great measurement is to see if your wrist is right up over your toes. And if that's not the case, that's fine too. So then we're going to bring our arms up into a V shape for star, and then slowly bend our knees and our elbows, come down into goddess. Inhale, come back up. And then exhale back down. Inhale, come back up. I'm progressively lengthening our goddess pose, so don't think I've fallen asleep here. Come back down. And come back up. I'm going to slowly decrease, so come back down. And come back up. And come back down. And then back up. Well done, everyone. Nice, slow and control. And we're going to point our right toes toward the long edge of the mat. Left toes are pointing to the top of the mat. We'll come into a lunge position where your knees stacked, left knee is stacked over your left ankle. The back edge of your right foot's nice and snug in the mat. Your core, your trunk should be kind of centered, not in front of or not in back, but kind of centered in between those two leg positions, facing the long edge of your mat. Raise your arms up to shoulder height, and gently turn your head to look at your left fingertips. Then slowly raise your left fingertips up for reverse warrior. And then lower your left arm down to your left thigh, sweeping your right arm overhead for extended side angle. And then bring your right hand down to the mat, pivot your back foot, and then bring your back foot up to meet your front foot into a forward fold. And slowly, with control, come up to mountain, bringing your arms up overhead, palms together, then palms to your heart center. And then we're going to do that again on the other side. So you may want to face the left side of your mat. I'm going to face the right so that my back is not to you. And come into that wide-legged stance pose where your toes are pointing to the edges of the mat, corners of the mat. Heels are tucked in 45 degrees. Bring your arms out and then up to a V shape. And then slowly exhale, bending your knees, bending your elbows, come down into goddess. And then inhale, come back up again. And then slowly come back down. And just hold. Inhale, come back up again. And then come back down again. Hold just a little bit longer. And come back up again. And then come back down. A little bit shorter time. Inhale, come back up. And one last time. Inhale or exhale, come back down. And then come back up. And I'm going to point our right toes to the top of the mat. Bend your right knee, so knees over your ankle for lunge pose. Back edge of your left foot's nice and snug into the mat. Again, your trunk should be about midway between the two. Open your chest to the long side of the mat. Raise your arms up to shoulder height. Slowly turn your head to look at your right fingertips. And then lift your right fingertips up for reverse warrior. And exhale, bringing your right arm down to your right thigh, sweeping your left arm overhead for extended side angle. And then bring the left hand down to the mat, pivoting your back foot. And we're actually going to put both hands down, bring your right foot back to meet your left foot, and then come down to your knees. Come down to tabletop, swing your legs out to one side, and lower down to the mat. We're going to come into staff pose. Let's go this way. So staff pose is a very active pose, even though it looks like we're just sitting there. Your core is engaged, your navel's tucked to your spine, toes are pointing up to the sky, legs are nice and strong. Make fists, push down, lifting your seat up and then coming back down so you can feel your sit bones. And that's quite important for us to do for this next pose. The traditional staff pose, your hands come to the mat right beside you so that it elongates your back. So that's what we're trying to achieve here. Then we bend our knees up, bring our hands underneath, tuck them underneath the knees, and really focusing on that long back and engaging our core, so tucking our navel to our spine, come up onto our sit bones. And we'll come back in, have our legs at that chair position. So if you want to bring your, kind of kind of a push me, pull you, so your legs are wanting to go to the front of the mat, but your arms are trying to bring them back. So that actually creates a nice straight spine. So we're going to drop one toe to the mat, lift it back up, drop the left toe to the mat, bring it back up, and bring your right toes to the mat and bring them back up. So then we're going to let go for half boat, drop our right toes to the mat, left toes to the mat, both toes to the mat, and then grab under our knees again. Right toe to the mat, left toe to the mat, both toes to the mat. Let go, half boat, right toe to the mat, left toe to the mat, both toes to the mat. Grabbing back of the knees again. Focus on your nice straight back. Engaged core. Right toe to the mat, left toe to the mat, both toes to the mat. And one last time for half boat. Right toe, let go, right toe to the mat, left toe to the mat, and both toes to the mat. And then we're done. Yay! So let's roll down on our backs. Again, one vertebrae at a time. Nice, slow, controlled move, engaging our core. Bring our knees up to our chest. Rock your hips back and forth. Give your back a nice gentle massage. If you want, you could make nice circles with your toes. So point your toes and draw a nice big circle. And then counterclockwise. And then hug them back to your chest. Extend your arms out to shoulder height. Exhale, lowering your knees to the right side. And then gently turning your head to look at your left fingertips. Inhale, turn your head back to center. Inhale, lift your legs back to center. And then exhale, lower your knees to the left side. And then slowly turn your head to the right to look at your right fingertips. And slowly turn your head back to center. And inhale, lift your legs back to center. And then extend your legs to the bottom of the mat and prepare for Shavasana. Get yourself nice and comfortable on your mat. Let your feet flop open. Just let them go from side to side. Relax and let go of any tension in your ankles and in your knees and in your thighs. Let go and relax any tension in your spine, the back of your neck, your wrists, your elbows, and your shoulders. Relax your jaw. Relax your eyes. Place a smile on your lips. And let the nutrients of today's practice soak deep within you. me read a quote from Deborah Adele's book called Yamas and Niyamas, and this is in her chapter called Tapas. Whether we practice tapas by showing up at our mat for a regular posture practice, or through constant acts of selfless service, we offer ourselves to the next higher version of us. We willingly stand in the heat so we might produce luscious bounty with our lives. Our debris gets burned away, and we are left more humbled and strengthened by the mystery of what is beyond our grasp of control or of our understanding.